All right, so the Scorpio parent is ruled by Mars and Pluto. So Mars is a dominant planet. It's aggressive. It is masculine. It is seen. Okay, so it has that external energy. But Pluto is more internal strength, but also can be linked to dominance and control and transformation and being able to mold things and change them. That could be negative or positive depending on how you use the energy. So the Scorpio parent. Well, and first thinking about the Scorpio parents. First of all, Scorpio parents tend to expect a certain amount of respect from their children. So it's interesting because, as I've said in other videos, Scorpio doesn't by default assume everybody is going to be trustworthy. So like a Scorpio person, for instance, might not trust everybody in their family. They have really strong, internal checks for who they believe they should trust. So it's not unlike a Scorpio to have people are like, but you should, that's your cousin. Like, why don't you? And the Scorpio's like, I don't talk to them. I don't talk to them. And it's because Scorpio trusts their own instincts about people, and Scorpio is only going to give to those they feel they're going to get something from in return. So if you see a that's just the core energy of Scorpio. So I mention that because, but when it comes to their own children, Scorpio does have this expectation that you're going to respect me, you're going to value what I do for you. Scorpio has that kind of underlying type of understanding or that type of expectation from their children. Okay. They're the types to talk about all they've sacrificed. I've done all these things for you. You need to do this, because remember, that's Pluto also as well. Pluto is controlling. That energy of Scorpio can sometimes creep out in some ways, but at the same time, Scorpios also put a lot. One thing I like, Scorpio puts a lot of energy into their children becoming something. They almost can be like Leo in a way, where like Scorpios sometimes want to. This is a little bit different. Like Leo wants their kid to shine. Like Leos typically shine in some area of their life, and they sometimes can project it on their children. But Scorpio is also a fixed sign, and they might do that to an extent. But Scorpio, it's more like, I want you. You need to be really good at this skill. Whereas Leo parents might want their kid to get notoriety. Like, I want people to see how good you are. Scorpio is going to want their kid, so they're going to probably make their kid work hard for what they want. Kind of almost like a Capricorn. I'm going to make you work hard for this. Okay? You need to be able to do this on your own, because Scorpio parents are, though they can be good providers, Scorpio parents want to set their children up so their children can be independent one day. I've noticed it a lot with Scorpio parents. Like they have a plan for their children. They have a plan for what they're going to become. Some Scorpio parents can become disappointed if their child does not make it or become something. And I don't mean it always has to be money, but like they like to see their child grow. Growth and development is very important to Scorpio. Okay, Scorpio is known for transformation. Scorpio has internal strength, so a lot of times you won't know what a Scorpio is up to, because Scorpio can be secretive. But Scorpio simply has the self-control to not tell everybody everything that's going on in their life, right? And so sometimes Scorpios will automatically like not do that, but then you'll notice something like, oh, Scorpio, I didn't know you were going to go for that job, or Scorpio, I didn't know you were doing that. It's because they have a lot of internal strength and they don't feel the need to get accolades from other people all the time. The Scorpio parent, again, is going to help their child be able to know how to, have that internal strength. They can support their children, but sometimes they're also going to want their children to kind of develop like a thick skin in a way. They want their children to know, like, you shouldn't let nobody talk to you that way. You shouldn't let anybody do that to you. Scorpio, it has a great defense mechanism. Okay. So Scorpio sometimes can be really good with teaching their child how to do that, like how to not be a victim. Scorpio is going to say like, and Scorpio might want their child to, dominate a situation in a way. And what I mean is, like, if somebody's picking on them, instead, some parents might say, hey, go tell the teacher, which is fine. I'm not saying it's wrong. Other parents might say, go fight them. Other parents might say, don't worry about sticks and stones. But Scorpio is going to like want you to develop like a strong like strategy. Like, this is what you do tomorrow. You go and you tell this person this and that. Like, Scorpio wants their child to understand the harshness sometimes of life. And sometimes I feel like sometimes like Scorpios might Scorpio is a pretty, it's one of the older zodiac signs. And what I mean by that is when you think about the order, you know, it's not one of the young ones, right? Like once we get to Sagittarius, we're now dealing with old signs that are older, right? They're not the younger spirits, energy, the younger energy. And so, you know, Scorpio is sometimes going to have very, you know, their ability to connect to their child sometimes is going to be telling them things that is not sugarcoating it, but doing it in a way that is still somewhat, you know, sensitive. Scorpios also can be very nurturing. So I know a lot of times people, sorry, my foot fell asleep. I'm just sitting here doing these videos. People attribute this to Cancer. But Scorpio's nurturing is different. Scorpio will nurture you to where they want you to expand yourself. Scorpio doesn't just want to stop at, oh, pat your back, it'll be okay. Scorpio's nurture is, okay, it'll be okay, and this is what you need to do. Because remember, Scorpio is also ruled by Mars. Mars is the planet of action. And so that's one thing I think we have to understand. Like, Scorpio is a water sign, yes. And so even when people use these stereotypes about Scorpio energy, remember, this is a water sign. It is linked to the emotions, okay? And so since it's linked to the emotions, you're going to, even when you have Scorpios who you view as probably not as open as some other ones, they have loyalties to someone. And typically it'll be their children, right? And so now Scorpio, you know, but Scorpio expects loyalty in return. And so it's not unlike some Scorpios too. Sometimes, you know, some of them, it really depends on the person though. As far as like revenge or anything like that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think, and I'm not talking about like with their children, but I mean like Scorpios have that stereotype. But for the most part, it's because Scorpio has been hurt. And so when Scorpio is hurt by their children, or they feel their children don't respect them, they can sometimes distance themselves. And that's why sometimes people will write in or ask questions about like, okay, the Scorpio, my family members like separated from me, like what should I do? Because Scorpio takes the hurt so serious, it can take decades for them to get over something. That is not a sign you want to tell them to get over something. But at the same time, you know, you do have to understand the fact that it's a water sign. And so if you are loyal to them, they will be loyal to you. And because they're so good at their own development, and teaching their children how to financially be secure, like Scorpios are really good at that. They want their children sometimes to earn their own keep. A lot of Scorpios are really good at teaching their kids to be responsible. Oh, you want that? You got to do this. Oh, you want that? You got to do that. But they're not, it's not like Capricorn, but Capricorn will do it because it's a very practical thing. You got to work for yourself. You got to do your own thing. Scorpio views that as nurturing you. If by me teaching you how to be independent, I am nurturing you. I'm helping you become an independent person. But because Scorpio tends to have like streams of income, Scorpios can be really good with money because they don't have the same, they're not mutable. One, they're not a mutable sign. Okay. Two, Scorpio is fixed. Okay. And it's water. Okay. So it's fixed water. And so it knows how to solidify itself. It knows how to stay where it wants to be, emotionally or financially, whatever the case may be. And so Scorpio is really good at passing it down to their children. Now, what Scorpio sometimes there could be a struggle with is, I think sometimes is dealing with their children who are more go with the flow. Like if you have a Scorpio parent, the child's a Gemini, sometimes you can look at that as like, you don't have structure. Gemini's mutable. So sometimes like Scorpios sometimes need to work on how they relate to their children if they're a mutable sign, or how they relate to their children, you know, if they are a sign that is a little bit more free, you know, free thinking, free spirited, right? Because Scorpio has such a strong internal structure that they know how to get things done through their own. So Scorpio sometimes like, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. What do you mean you want to do it that way? Sometimes that can be the what you notice a lot in Scorpio parents is that Scorpio trusts themselves so much that they're like, this worked for me. What do you mean you want to do it your own way? So sometimes that can be the trade-off with like all those things you can teach Scorpio, and like sometimes things that can be, there could be a little bit of conflict with with your child if you know, if they're trying to go a different way and you already mastered the way. In your mind, you're like, I've mastered this, I know how to do this, but your child's like, nah, I'm gonna do this. Sometimes that can be a bit of a struggle. But again, as I always say, you have to look at the whole chart.